Hey, what's up you guys? So today we're going to be discussing HEIR of Fire by SARAH J Maas. This is the third book in the Throne of Glass series, and so I will have book talks for the first two, so I'm going to link them in the cards up above so you can check those out if you'd like to know more about my thoughts on those two books. So overall, HEIR of Fire is my favorite in the series so far. I really love how this book further develops the world and further develops our characters, especially how it further develops the characters independently, because we have Dorian and Selena kind of separated from each other, and so I really enjoyed that aspect of this book. I liked how we got introduced to more characters, and so this story started to become a little bit more epic in scale. It was less about just our three characters that we kind of started off with, and more about our three characters and how they're going to be able to affect the world and actually change things in relation to other new characters that have been introduced. I liked how in this book we got to see Selena kind of do some more training and learn some new skills, and I would love to see how that's going to affect the later books. Same goes with Dorian. We also got to see him learn new things and develop very well, in my opinion. And Dorian's story, especially in this book, it just felt so good because he really did go through the ringer in this book. So definitely check this book out if you have not yet. I definitely recommend this series so far. I will let you know what I think about the rest of the books as I read them, so be waiting for my thoughts on the rest of the books. So now that I've gone through the things that I liked about this book, I don't really have anything that I disliked in particularly, so I'm just going to launch into my spoilery section of this book. So if you want to stick around, but do be warned that you will be spoiled from this point on. So for this book talk, I'm going to talk about Selena's story first, and then I'm going to talk about Dorian's story. So Selena, she went to Wendelin in the last book, and so on the boat to Wendelin, she kind of came up with these plans of what she's going to do, and so her plan going into Wendelin was to go to Maeve, who is the queen of the Fae Kingdom, and speak with her and figure out what she knows about these word marks, word keys, and all of that. And then she also wanted to see if she could get some assistance from the Mortal Kingdom over there across the continent in Wendelin to see if they would help her at all. And so that's kind of what our goal was going into Wendelin. But she kind of got stalled a little bit because she didn't have anything that she could do very immediately. And so all she did was obsess over the fact that her friend died in the last book. Like, Nehemia is dead. So her friend died, and she's just kind of obsessing over that and the fact that she couldn't do anything to save her, and she doesn't feel like she can do anything to save Nehemia's people either. And so I really loved seeing that development from Selena, seeing her kind of realize that she isn't as strong and powerful as she likes to think she is. She does need help, and she needs to really start to rely on other people. Because of that, she's kind of in this drunken stupor over in Wendelin, and that is when Rowan walks in. And oh, I loved Rowan's entrance. I thought it was great. Okay, Rowan, he is my new favorite. Okay, well, kind of. I still love Dorian the most, but like, Rowan is a good second. So Rowan and Selena start to head to Dornell, which is the Fae Kingdom, to go talk to Maeve. And she doesn't really talk or anything. They don't really, grow a bond or anything. They're just kind of going because, she's still really not in a good place. So she gets there, they talk to Maeve, and Maeve essentially says, I need you to train, and then once you're kind of skilled enough to enter my kingdom, then we can talk. So she now has to train with Rowan in her skills with her magic and develop her magic, which is fire. And so in the last book, we discovered that she's Fae. I don't remember if I mentioned that in the book talk, but she's a Fae. So she has to develop her skills with fire, and Rowan is training her. And I really loved their little training moments. I thought that it really helped to show Selena's growth as a character. And I love those moments in books in general whenever you have a character actually learning something. It's really irritating whenever a character has one lesson in something and then they're an expert, and that's not realistic. People take time to learn things. So seeing her take that time to learn things, I just thought was really cool and really helpful as far as, making me not be frustrated. And so as they are training, she and Rowan start to develop a little bit of a friendship because she just doesn't have anyone else, and he's really all she's got. And so he's really hard on her. And so this continues to just take a real big toll on her. So she's just struggling throughout this book. But Rowan, as he starts to see that the effect that he's having is not a very positive one in her life, he starts to kind of dial back on his harshness, and he starts to be a little bit more open with her. And so they develop this really close friendship, this really strong friendship. So while they're developing this friendship, they're also trying to figure out this little mystery that's going on in their area, which is that there are these fae that are just winding up dead, desiccated, and they don't really know what's going on there. And so they find these dead, desiccated fae, and they're keeping on tracking them and trying to figure out where they are coming from. And they wind up finding this little encampment of Adarlan soldiers. And these soldiers are being ordered around by people in like collars. And so they discover that those people are Valg princes. So they're demon princes. And that's not good, obviously. So they have to kill them, obviously, and it is so hard. Like, they are not easy to kill. So that's gonna be fun to deal with when we get back to like our home country, Terrasen. So it's fine, right? So they successfully kill those Valg princes with a very, very intense battle sequence going on where all of the people of Mistborn are kind of preparing for this battle with these Valg princes. And thankfully, Celaena is able to take them out, but they learn that there's really only two ways to take these guys out, which is a beheading or fire. So that's kind of what is learned there. So once that happens, Rowan deems Celaena good enough to go into the country and meet Maeve. And so she goes in and she speaks with Maeve, and Maeve is kind of a bitch. She's just not a nice person. So she tries to control Celaena and get Celaena to do what she wants, but Celaena is not really there for that. So I don't remember exactly what Celaena does that gets her out, but she's able to get out with Rowan, break Rowan's blood oath to Maeve, and they're able to go back to Adarlan. Well, actually, Celaena goes back to Adarlan and Rowan stays behind. So that is what happens with them. Now let's launch into Dorian's story, which is honestly the part that I was like just dying this entire book. Every scene with Dorian I was so here for. Like, Dorian is bae, okay? So Dorian starts to develop this relationship with one of the healers, Sorsha, and they really do fall in love with each other and they have a really strong relationship. She is there mainly just trying to help him, and she kind of helps him deal with his developing magic, and you know, he really needs that because magic is punishable by death in Adarlan. So, you know, he's gotta hide that as the prince or else he's dead. Like, dead. He develops a relationship with Sorsha. Their relationship's really cute. I like all of their little moments. It's not super deep or anything, but it is really strong. And while they're developing their relationship, Celaena's cousin comes in and Cole immediately recognizes their similarities and is like, how the hell did I not notice this before? And Cole and Aedion start to help the rebels, and they're trying to help them in very subtle ways so that they can try to potentially get Aelin back on her throne. Cole is kind of on the fence about this whole helping thing though, because he's still loyal to Adarlan to an extent. He's just not really loyal to the king. He's loyal to Dorian. And so I do like that loyalty in him. I do still find him frustrating as a character because he's just so protective. Like, I don't know why I get really irritated with like those protective characters, because it's just like, can you not? Like, let people grow and learn on their own, bruh. Like, leave it be. Just leave them be. So that's what he is doing. And they're helping to kind of reform Aelin's court so that it is there and it is waiting for them when they get back. But all goes to hell when the king starts to get on to this plot that's going on. So the king summons all of them to his chambers. He summons Aedion, Cole, Sorsha, Dorian. And so Dorian and Sorsha are not involved with this plot at all. Well, Sorsha kind of is because she's like leaking information to rebels, but she's still not as involved as like Aedion and Cole. So they're all brought there. And so Sorsha is essentially taken by the king, and he puts a like sword to her throat, or a guard with a sword to her throat, and says, I'm gonna kill her if y'all don't tell me what's going on. And so, you know, Dorian doesn't know what's going on. He's not a part of this at all. So he's potentially about to watch his lover die because he has no control over whether or not Aedion or Cole talk. But luckily for him, Cole does talk. Cole does kind of explain what's going on. But now the king has no reason to keep Sorsha alive. So she's dead. And that was just a moment. I had to take a pause when that happened because I was like, damn, son. Like, damn. Like, that's harsh, man. Like, that was some cold-hearted shit. So, Source's dead. Dorian has a bit of a freak out, and he uses his magic to try to, you know, kill the king. And the king stops him. But because the king now knows that he has magic, the king is able to put one of the collars around him. And so we know what that means because of what happened with Celaena. And so now we know Dorian is going to be one of the Valg princes. And it's like, no, not Dorian. Like, I literally love him. Like, he is my favorite. Okay, I'm here for Dorian. Like, that's who I'm here for. Don't do this to Dorian. So that happens. Aedion gets captured and Cole runs. So that's where this book leaves off. Celaena's on her way back. Cole is on the run. He's lost his title. He's lost everything. Aedion is captured by the king. Dorian is a Valg prince. And shit's just gone to hell. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, comment, all that jazz. I'd love to discuss this book with you guys. I post videos sometimes on this channel, but because of Bookmas, it's gonna be every day right now. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.